fellas and ladies? Welcome to Risen Rogue Academy. Let's start out with the shout outs. This is not requested by my sponsor Benzo, so this one is value added information. Gonna give a shout out to Legion. They're my people. We're super excited to be absorbing another alliance of new players. Super excited to push them further, get them to the end game, make them prioritize Dofus over life like we all do. And yeah, I'm super ready to take care of you people. We'll push you very far. And we've got a lot of resources, and I wouldn't be where I was at if I didn't have the resources I had. I started out in WFTC, and if it wasn't for them, I'd never be where I was at. And I really appreciate what they've done for me. Fortunately, things took a turn for the worst, but what can you do sometimes? Alright, so here we go. Now this is actually a request by a guy named Chandler, and I'm not sure if this was his idea and we both came up with it, or he somehow remembered that I was creating this build. But it was requested from Chandler, a build that I've also come up with. It's the Ranged Healer Wrath Sack. Not many people build like this, so it's a unique build. It's fun to make. Your main elements, obviously all points in vitality. Always all points in vitality. Your main elements are strength and agility. This is technically kind of like an Omni build, but it's not. For Sacrier, as fun as it would be to launch all your punishments, that's like, what, 20% erosion, all 4 of your punishments, that's going to wreck you. And then it just makes the spell punishment practically useless because your max HP goes so low that it doesn't do any damage. It's just a mess. We've got Perfidious Boomerang at level 6, okay? The reason for that is because you are an Omni build. You have a 50% chance to do hella damage and a 50% chance to do not that bad damage. You know, you will have a lot of power. And because of that, you'll be able to hit in every element. Because you will be going for Tread Fast. Tread Fast and Fuji, that's going to be your endgame set. And I heard there's a new Ascension set that's looking pretty cool. It is a lifesteal, so, you know, heal yourself up a little bit from a range. The range is, I believe, 5 to 9. The next one is Moonhammer, which is range 4 to 8. Because you do have high agility, Moonhammer is OP. You need Moonhammer, okay? Perfidious Boomerang, Moonhammer. You need those. Those are your ranged spells, because you're going to be a ranged Sacrier. With 11 AP, you can throw off Perfidious Boomerang and Moonhammer. That actually does pretty incredible damage. It pretty much hits like Assault. It does sort of like a weaker lifesteal and then the heavier damage hit. If you're doing Tread Fast, you're going to have a lot of elemental damage, so that's all going to just calculate at the end. And I'll explain to you why that's going to be OP. Attraction level 6, because eventually you will move in on the enemy. Force Punishment, Nimble Punishment for, build no stats. Assault, I'm going to go into the damage calculation for Assault, and it's one of the reasons that I chose Agility. But, people look at Assault and they're like, oh, it has the lowest damage. No, it doesn't. Not in Endgame. Because the thing is, Assault hits twice, which means the damage stat is calculated twice, which can make it a lot stronger than all the other builds. Sacrifice level 6, and I'll go into the playstyle. I'll explain it to you. Cooperation level 6, Transposition level 6. You're also going to get Life Transfer level 6, because Sacrier is actually a really good healer. And at level 6, the circle expands from circle of 3 to circle of 4. So you're healing over a huge area. I mean, shoot. You heal, 10% of your HP? So if you have 5,000 HP, then you're giving 500 HP to everyone around you. That's a pretty good heal, okay? That's pretty substantial. So then you got Punishment, which, because you're only doing 2 elemental punishments, you won't take enough erosion for this to really cause too much trouble. that in punishment should be doing some decent damage. Weapon skill, 300 power to your weapon. You're going to be at half crits too, so that's going to be crazy. Because you'll go up to, I think, 330 power. Evasion, level 5, super important spell. Level 5 swap. All that adds to 200 points. You will need one spell scroll to get that 200. And then the extra, if you want to get more spell scrolls, what I'd consider investing in is either Living Sword, and then Bloodthirsty Madness is super cool. And I'll tell you why. Because if you have that at like level 6, for instance, then that means if you're chilling over here and you have an ally here, an ally here, an ally here, and an ally here, now your team has to trust you for this, you know? You're making some definitive decisions. This is authoritative decisions that you have to make. But if you have this ally all the way over here with a lot of HP, if you hit him with Bloodthirsty Madness and take 400 HP from it, you can take that HP and redistribute it to your allies, okay? So it's communism for HP. So you suck it from your ally, and then you'll use life transfer on the rest of your allies, okay? So you're redistributing. Let's talk about the stats that you're most likely going to have. If you're going with Treadfast and Fuji, you know, if you're lucky, your strength and agility, including the damage from power, would be 600 in each, right? You can gain 1,000 on turn 5, I think, from all your punishments. So you're building up to 1,600. So all the damage calculations I'm going to do is with the 1,600, the amount of strength and agility. And the reason for that is because the numbers are bigger and cooler. So damage here, it's not the damage stat. You actually, for Treadfast, when you mage all your gear max, you'll have 23 damage in each stat. So 23 damage in each stat, and then air damage is 120, okay? Let's go over the damage calculation for Assault. So for Assault, it's 10 base air steel and 15 base air damage. So you're going to do 10 times 17 equals 170, and then plus 143 from the extra damage calculation, and then 15 times 17 equals 255, and then plus 143 from the damage calculation. You add those together, and Assault with 3 AP does 711 damage, and some of it is lifesteal. I went over why we're ranged. I went over why we're a healer. Now I'm going to go over why you'll be able to wrath every turn. Well, once you're built up. But there's no cooldown on this. So you're essentially hitting with wrath every turn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I broke the game. I broke it. They're going to have to just scrap it. No more Dofus. So we've got this strength agility, right? And how are we going to wrath? We're going to wrath with Blord Warrior's Cursed Sword. And why are we using Blord Sword and not Scythe? Because although Scythe might only cost 6 AP rather than 7 AP, Blord Sword has higher crit damage. Scythe is plus 5 crit damage, and Sword is plus 10 crit damage. And because of the fact that you're part agility, you'll easily get half crits on your Blord Sword. You'll hit incredibly. Let's go over the math, exactly how this is going to work. The Blord Sword hits for 14 of each element. It's neutral, earth, water, fire, air. Okay? If you don't know how to do damage calculation. So if you have 1,600 of a stat, then that means divide it by 100 and then add 1, pretty much. So you have 1,600, you divide it by 100, it's 16, and add 1, 17. So multiply base damage by that number. So you do 14 times 17 for air damage, 14 times 17 for strength damage, 14 times 17 for neutral damage, and this is why we're using strength, is because strength gives you both neutral damage and earth damage, which makes your hit so much harder because you chose earth. So much harder. And then the rest of them is going to be times 1 and then times 1. And then you're going to put these in parentheses and add 3 to each of these. because of weapon skill. For air damage, you're going to add 143 damage, the damage stat. And the reason for that is because if you build right, we're pushing for like 120 in strength and 120 in agility, earth and air damage. So you'll have that plus 143 in the calculation 3 times. And then these two will only have a damage calculation of 23. Okay? So what numbers do you get when you have the average base damage times your amount of stat plus weapon skill plus damage? Well, the numbers you get is 423, 423, 423, 79, and 79. And when you add those all together, you get 1,427 damage. So not including weapon skill, which you only need to cast in 1 turn, that's 7 AP doing 1,427 damage. This is average, okay? With a critical hit. So because Scythe is only plus 5 critical hit, you add only plus 5 to the base damage. But you're adding plus 10 to the base damage with Sword, which is overpowered and totally worth the extra AP. So instead of 14, you're going to calculate 24. And this is average, right? So you're going to do 24 times 20 plus 143. When you do the whole damage calculation, that adds up to 2,107 damage crit with your broadsword. That's average. And just to have fun, I did the calculation for the maximum damage you can do in one swipe of your sword, and that is 2,551 damage. That's with weapon effects maximized, which you can easily get with an IOP spell that maximizes weapon and spell effects. So if you have that effect on you, and you crit with your broadsword on turn 5, you're hitting for 2551. That is like double wrath, right? So this is broken. That's what I'm saying, is that this breaks the game. And Caramel won't stand a chance. I mean, shoot. How much does he wrath for? I think he wraths for 2,000? But you're literally hitting him with this every turn. Crazy. Crazy stuff here. Crazy stuff. Also, lock and dodge. Lock and dodge. You'll have plenty of that, which is perfect. Okay? And so let's go over exactly what the battlefield's going to look like. You're going to have your ally over here, maybe your enemy over here, and you're going to be out here in the sidelines, right? And you are going to be basically hitting them from a range, right? So on your first turn, okay, so if you have 11 AP, that means that you can put both of your punishments on yourself. You can cast Sacrifice on the target that you need to keep alive and you think will take damage. So that's another reason this build is OP. Because it's built off of Sacrifice, which means basically you would cast that on like an Enaripsa, for instance, and the Enaripsa just can't die. If you're from a range, I mean, there's not much they can do. If you're not from a range, you can use your last 3 AP to cast Evasion on yourself. If you don't cast it on yourself, you can cast that Evasion on someone else. Evasion's a great spell, and it's a great way to be a support tank nuke, right? So, broken. Absolutely broken. So you're going to be hitting them from super far. Moonhammer, Perfidious Boomerang. Both of those have a cooldown of 2, which means you'll not be able to use it for 1 turn. That's fine, because your first turn is going to be putting on your punishments. Your second turn is going to be Probably, you don't even have to use Perfidious Boomerang or Moonhammer on that turn. You still have other skills. Life Transfer, you can heal your allies. You can approach an enemy and hit them with Assault. You're not limited. You can still use Assault. It's just suggested that you keep your distance because you don't want to take damage for two people. You just want to take damage for the person you sacrifice on. But Moonhammer and Perfidious Boomerang will get you the range that you need. And then as the game progresses and you start to build up damage, that's when, if you have 12 AP, this is the most ideal. What you're going to do is you're going to use Transposition, Weapon Skill, and then Blord Sword. That adds up to 12 AP, and it absolutely destroys. And you can't use Blord Sword until level 200 anyways, so by then you'll find a way to get 12 AP. Super important that you do. Okay? So that's basically how it works. It's ranged. Life Transfer is amazing. You're taking damage for someone you need to keep alive. That literally means that if you have a glass cannon on your team, that glass cannon is a tank now. Which means it can keep on wrathing the enemy. Like, it's insane. This build is crazy. It's amazing. Okay? So that's what I wanted to show you. I'm going to try to cut this video down, make it not too long, but I had loads of fun, and thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like. You can even hit the bell button if you're freaky like that. You want all my updated videos, and they'll come straight to you, straight to your notifications. There we go. That's the real fan right there. All right, cool. Well, we had a good time, and that's what we came here for.